episode, I sit down with Heather, and I have the privilege of reading her and connecting her to her loved ones who have passed. I wanted to be authentically myself and show that not always is this job easy. Sometimes connecting with spirit, they might communicate a little bit differently. In this case, her father, we said it over and over again, his personality was exactly that he was just not a big communicator. And so you will see that in this reading. And I'm just showing it to be transparent and show you that it's okay when I make mistakes. And it's not about making the mistakes, but it's about getting back up and keep moving forward, because you will see towards the end of the reading, Heather got a lot out of this reading by connecting with her mother at the end. Please enjoy. Joelle, so nice to meet you.
Hi, Joelle. I'm Heather. Nice to meet you as well.
Welcome to my show, the Spiritual Connections by Joelle podcast. So have you seen a medium before?
I have.
You have. Wonderful. Okay, so we all work differently, even if you have seen somebody before. I always say that I have all the clairs. So that's clairvoyance, that's clairsentience. They'll even give me scents or smells or tastes. That's not very often. That's not mostly what I lean into. My clairvoyance and my clairsentience are the two main ways that I work with spirit, that they'll show me a quick image and I kind of get a feeling and knowing of what that is. I do have signs and symbols that I use as well, but most of the time what they'll do is take my own memories and filter it in to something that correlates with you. It's very interesting in that way. So that's how I work. And what I'll do is I'll just quiet down, close my eyes, and then we'll get started.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. So there's definitely a male presence stepping forward. So I don't know if this is a father energy or if this is a grandfather for you, but I believe that there's a female presence with them, but they're like kind of behind them for some reason. Is this grandfather's departed?
Grandfather and father.
Okay. Okay. It definitely felt like the male presence was coming forward more so, but I felt this female presence behind them. So I don't know who this female presence is, if it's if it's like grandmother stepping behind or somebody's behind them, but they're graciously letting, I believe this would be your father stepping forward first.
Okay. Do
Somebody
you
that
get
you most
names?
I don't pull names.
Okay.
I don't pull names. I used to get them spot on. I don't do them as much anymore because I've noticed that I'm pretty off. I got the letter F. I don't know if that has to do with anything.
Hmm.
See, it names are, yeah, they're for some reason they don't work as well with my mediumship for some reason.
Okay.
Um, this gentleman feels like a little bit of rock and roll. That's the
Hmm.
best way I can describe him.
Hmm.
I don't
What do
know
you mean by that? What is that?
if it's
How,
like a
how do
leather
you interpret that?
jacket, if he's wearing this like black leather jacket, if it's a motorcycle, it just feels um very kind of cool. This cool energy, this cool vibe, he's a cool guy. Uh like rugged, but not in the rugged outdoorsman like camping type, but just like this cool, very masculine energy.
Hmm.
Would this fit, Dad?
He had a black leather jacket, but I wouldn't call him rock and roll or masculine feeling energy.
Okay.
in my, you know, assumptions and interpretations of it.
Okay. Uh,
He might have saw himself that way, but I didn't see him that way.
did are you one of three daughters?
No, well, I am one of three, but it's not three daughters.
Okay. Um, hmm, I don't this guy feels very cool. Unless if it's like an uncle and I'm not, or if because he showed me a silver like thick chain.
Hmm. Nope. I don't know
And
anybody
this
who wore a
definitely fits
silver
that
thick
cool
chain.
persona, that cool guy kind of attitude. It
Nope.
kind of is like retro 50s vibe. Like that,
Hmm.
like popped collar, kind of the Fonz kind of guy.
Interesting. No, I
Was
don't
dad
know
like that
anybody
in
like that.
his younger years?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to continue on with this person, and then if not, we'll kindly thank them for being here. He was just showing me these like logging so you know how they move logs on the river and why these logs are on this river, and he's showing me that, and I don't know what that was. Do you know any correlation? Did they have a are you guys by something that where they do logging and they put them down the river? Is this a
No, no,
career?
but I am familiar with how logs are moved down the river. You know, how they're floating and
Okay.
you know,
But that has no significance with dad. This has no significance with anybody in the family. Okay.
no,
All right. What we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to thank this person for being here.
thank you
We'll
for
just put that
showing
all
up.
to the side and thank you. And we will move forward. Um, okay. So this gentleman stepping forward is more scholarly. This is he's very knowledgeable in he's saying science, all things science. Very just he's kind of like a what's that saying? Like where it's like master trades wait, where you're like master of all but trades of none or what's I can't think of that saying. I can't think of it how it goes.
Yeah, I
But
know what
that
you're talking about.
but he's making me feel like he never had schooling in certain things of how to maybe take apart the car or fix a dishwasher or whatever that is. And he's making it sound like, before days of YouTube, they didn't have that kind of stuff and he would just do it. And he would just be able to mechanically understand how things operate and be able to fix it. Does this sound like dad?
To a certain degree, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He's showing me this memorable sweater or something that he would always wear. Did he have this beige sweater that like came down with the brown buttons in the middle? Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like very scholarly looking.
Yes and no. I know what you're talking about, and no, he never owned anything like that.
Interesting. I wonder if it's just his way of showing me of how he was so smart in the fact of like, but like this subtle, um, like he's making me feel like it wasn't through education with everything with him, but he was just like he could absorb and know everything and kind of just understand and know how to do it.
To a certain, I would, definitely say, 75, 80% that was his personality.
Okay. Um, This is very interesting, and I've never seen this before. Did he save, he's talking about oil, uh, and I'm assuming it's in the kitchen, like a vegetable oil or a cooking oil, and he's making me he had it saved in a jar. Like I don't know if it was used and they save it. And this would be significant to you. If it's not significant to you, then we'll just thank him for showing us. But I
Nope,
honestly,
no
okay,
relation. Nope.
okay.
I mean,
Um,
it would be what, if it was burger or something, he would use a paper towel and clean it out, or drain it and discard it, but not saved.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like this saving of this oil, and I felt like it was kitchen related, not like a motor oil situation.
Interesting.
Um, was he almost OCD? He's showing me very meticulous, like this
No,
making of this sandwich, and then
nope,
he's cutting it. He's like layering it, make sure everything's perfect.
nope, not his personality.
Okay. Gosh, who are we getting with you today?
He definitely you know how you can, like, a chef can plate a plate and make it look like picture perfect? He was that, but he wasn't that all the time. It was only when he wanted to. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. Well,
You and I, we'd put the mashed potatoes on, you'd put the gravy on it or whatever, if that's what you were having, and, a
okay.
piece of meat or a vegetable, and it's on your plate. I mean, he could make it look like, were you going to take a photo of that before you
Okay.
ate it?
So see
You know what
how,
I mean? But
yes.
not
Okay.
OCD. He wasn't that like every meal or
Okay.
even once a week, or,
No, but
it was just a thing that he
he was
could do.
taking a sandwich and he was cutting it like, and he was making sure that he was cutting it and being very meticulous about this whole positioning and stuff. And I don't know if he took it and like took the two diagonal sandwich like wedges and put one on top of the other. You know how like it would be
Mm,
picturesque
hmm
and be very,
hmm
as opposed to right before, instead of just consuming it right away,
Right,
he
right.
would do this meticulous thing. Okay, so
Okay.
that's where I asked, is he OCD?
Maybe, maybe that's
Because
what you're interpreting.
yes, that's exactly it. Like I said, I get quick things and I have to kind of understand what they're showing me. So he
Hmm
showed me a sandwich. Why a sandwich? I don't know. Why not?
hmm
It could have been anything else, but a sandwich and he cut it diagonally and then he was taking it and like positioning it before even taking it over to his seat and sitting down and having his lunch.
hmm
Okay. Did he like to have tea? Like an iced tea, like an iced drink next to his drink. He was like, I have to have, and then he placed the sandwich down and then he placed it with his little drink there.
So
If it's
maybe at
green tea.
lunchtime, sure, but generally he was a coffee drinker,
Okay.
not a tea
Yes.
drinker.
No, no, no. Not like hot tea. Like an iced
Yeah.
tea, like with his sandwich.
But
He
it
placed the
wasn't even a
sandwich
regular thing in the house. Maybe a couple weeks out of the year there'd be iced tea in the house.
or something like a green tea or whatever this is.
Definitely not green tea for him.
Okay.
That might be healthy. That was not him.
I just want to make sure that I'm getting the right energy and who this is. So let me pull more of where you are right now or where you live. I don't know where you live, but is it somewhere where it's very cold? He's showing me like below zero or like zero. He's showing me very, very cold. And yes, we're all in a cold swing right now. So that might be what he's showing me right now is what you're going through. But he's also showing me this like outdoor space that he had. So this is like a shop or the garage where he would be out and he's like, freezing and he's putting a wood stove. It's like a wood stove that he had and to keep his space warm because that was his go-to space. That was where he felt comfortable. That was where he could tinker, feel
Mhm.
creative or whatnot.
Mhm.
Um,
You are spot on there.
okay. Has dad been passed about 5 years?
Less.
Okay. Like 5 years. He's saying like 83.
83?
Yeah, was he around 83? How old was he when he passed?
Um, Maybe close to 70.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 83. Okay. I was trying to ask him if he wanted to talk about his passing, and a lot of times I actually don't get that. I ask for whatever is for your highest good, and they don't always want to touch on that. If they need to, they will. but he didn't want to. He just wanted to talk about his suspenders under his jacket, and I was like, okay.
Mm.
That he had suspenders. So I don't know if he wore suspenders, but he showed them, clipped them in, and then put his jacket on.
Occasionally.
Okay. Um, does he have green plaid slippers that he wore?
Not that I'm aware of. They were brown, like,
Okay.
tan, deer hide looking color.
Okay. I don't know why I'm saw them so specifically, but it's just him showing that he's getting his slippers like that. He would most of the time be tinkering around, like around the house. He would just be wearing his slippers unless if he was heading out and getting his boots on.
Right. He liked those Merrill black shoes that were easy to slip on,
Okay.
kind of like what do I want to say, a house shoe, but could be worn outside also.
Okay. He seems so funny because he doesn't seem like much of a conversationalist, but he almost
Definitely
seems like,
not.
but if you get him talking on a topic that he wants to talk about, that is like, I don't know if this is war stories. Is he a veteran?
No.
And he would talk about this. He's talking about something of like his past, you know, I don't know if this is him and kids messing around and he's just telling, like, reliving the glory days kind of thing. Like,
Hmm.
that seems like his high life. And, like,
Hmm.
when he can really just, have quite a conversation. Otherwise, when it feels like big family gatherings, he just wants to sit in the sidelines,
Observe.
do not.
Hmm.
He's good with whatever. Like, he enjoys seeing everybody get together. And not that he's not enjoying himself, but he's just like, he's very reserved, quiet to himself. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
definitely an observer.
That sounds like dad. Okay. This goes back to him showing me the scholarly part of himself. He keeps showing, like, I don't know, he's showing me the Encyclopedia Britannica, like the old school. And
Hmm.
I don't know if he's like taking stuff out and just randomly like learning something a day.
Hmm.
Was he big on
Not
educating
that I ever
himself?
saw. Not that I ever saw, but we did have a set of those Encyclopedia
Okay.
Britannicas,
Okay.
the real hard books,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Like
up their
the
shelves.
maroon color or whatever it
Yeah.
was. I feel
Hmm.
like they were all the same color, weren't they?
Hmm.
Series, next
Right.
one up. Um, did he go ice fishing?
No, not a fisherman,
Okay.
not a hunter, not a fisherman, not an
Okay.
outdoorsman in any stretch of the imagination.
All right. Oh, okay. That makes sense to me now, because I really did. I felt like I got the image of the huts that they have with ice fishing over the ice. Would this be something his father would take him to do?
So, so he did not know his dad. Then my grandmother married another man and gave him that man's last name. So the other man, he didn't even know him until in his 30s or 40s. He didn't even know about him because my grandmother never disclosed it. So
Okay.
ice fishing, not that I'm aware of. I never saw my father ice fish, not
Okay.
even once.
Okay.
And he didn't spend a lot of time with that other man, you know.
Like exactly like I said though, is this something to I don't know why I saw it and it came through. It could just be something of your community, of like where you're from, and if it's a big thing, if like you're Minnesota or if you're Canada. Um, I don't know exactly where you are, but I feel like ice fishing would be around you.
Mm. Well, sure. I mean, if the weather's right, yeah.
Okay. I'm not in a place where they would ice fish. I grew up in a place that I ice fish, but
Uh-huh.
not that I did personally. I never went out. But it's too cold for me. Um, your dad's funny because exactly like he's just acting himself, right? So he is, just because in life he was not much of the conversationalist, it's like pulling teeth for me to get him to tell me stuff. And I'm like, come on, I need more. Like, come talk to me. And he's
Uh-huh.
like, all right. He's kind of like,
That was definitely his personality. He was not a conversationalist.
yeah.
You know,
So,
do you wanna just look at the wall and the paint dry? You know, because we can listen to each other breathe all afternoon. Kind of
but this
boring,
is,
you know.
but this is dad validating dad of who
Mhm.
he is. And maybe that's why I had trouble with pulling him in the beginning, because especially on the other side, I don't think I look to them on the other side what other souls look like. I look a little different, and sometimes they're a little leery of coming to me right away, and they have this like trust issue. And I wonder if that was it, if he was being a little bit timid in that way. He's showing me, I don't know if you have or if he had, sorry, if he had a wood stove inside the house too, as well as this outdoor space, because he's showing me when he comes in and he's getting the mud off his shoe, off his boots, and he's putting them by the fire somewhere to get warm, to
Maybe
like,
when he was a little guy, they would have had a wood stove in his house, but he didn't in the house, you know, when he
okay,
passed,
okay,
which was the last, I don't know, 20 years or something that he was in
okay.
that house.
Hmm. Okay. Dad's making me feel some sadness with his passing. It definitely feels like it definitely feels like there was something that happened very quickly, and you had a short time to still be with him until he physically left this world. Is that correct?
No, it was during the whole COVID thing.
Okay.
And he, like I said before, he wasn't a health person, you know, to take care of his body. And I think when you get the COVID um, and you aren't in a healthy situation already, it really drug him down. And so they put the respirator on him, and then it was, you know, all downhill from there. I mean, quickly.
Okay. But was it that you knew something was coming up, like he had been ill for a little while, and then it was like, okay, we now have to understand this is more severe than we thought.
Yeah, I would put it that way because I did hear about, you know, that he had something going on, and then it was okay, you need to come say goodbye. And when I got there, he was already gone.
I don't know if we was he talking, was there like a 3 week timeline? Three?
I don't know about that either.
Threes are coming up a lot with you, and you are one of three, but I don't know if that's what he was talking about. Yeah, he's making me feel like they also, was that the ventilator you said to him?
Hmm.
Like they
Yep.
wanted to do the ventilator, like it goes down through your, and
Yep.
they came to him with that, and he said, "No way are you sticking that down my throat."
Well, and they did. They
Does
did.
that sound like your dad though, where he would answer in that way of no
Oh
way
yeah.
you? Okay, because it makes me feel like he was going to he makes me feel like he doesn't like doctors. He doesn't
Correct.
like doctors. And
Correct.
then them coming in and wanting to do stuff when he still had a voice, he's like,
That was invasive. Yeah.
yeah.
Would have been
He was like, I'm
absolutely
not.
not. Hmm.
So here's what he's making me feel and understand is that his actions and his choices in life is what led to his passing. And he doesn't want you to harbor, or any of your siblings to harbor, anything of regret, because he wants to take full ownership of the way that he left this world. And he's making me feel like he chose that because he was not going to, he said if he was to live after getting sick, he's making me feel like it would have not been the quality of life that he would have loved to have.
Hmm.
He needed to be busy. He needed to be in his shop. He needed to be doing things. And it would have deteriorate. Sorry, I can't speak. Deteriorate.
Deteriorated.
Can't speak. All right, let's choose a different word. It would have dwindled. His way of living and his way of life, and he feels like he just wanted to thrive. And so he doesn't want anybody to hold that um and harbor any of that because he chose at the time that he was ready to go. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Okay. Now were him and mom already separated?
Yeah, my mom was out of the picture many, many years,
But mom is
prior
still
to
living,
him
right?
passing. No, she's on the other side.
Mom is passed. Okay.
Hmm.
Because he was showing me your mom, and then he was showing me how they did divorce. They show me a separation.
Hmm. They were actually going through a divorce when she passed.
Now, like I said,
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
that
where
it
you
was
live,
ever
but
final, to be honest.
really,
Yeah,
wow.
I don't think it was final before she passed.
Do you live in Minnesota?
No,
Is your mom
never
from
been there.
Minnesota?
No,
Why do I feel like your mom has this like Minnesota accent?
Michigan.
Okay. But it's kind of like that sweet and saying like the A at the end.
Oh, I was so young that I don't even I don't even know if I would recognize her voice if I heard it,
Okay.
to be honest.
Okay. So that's obviously why dad came through first because dad had passed more recently and that being a little bit more raw and you needing to hear that not to harbor or hold anything about his passing, that he wanted to take full ownership of that. Did mom pass like 35 years ago? I know that's quite some time.
Longer.
Longer. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. She says out of the kids that you're the one that resembles her the most.
So I hear.
But she's saying you wear your hair differently. She used to do these like curls, kind of like these soft like curls around her head, or wear it a little bit shorter.
Nope, mom, she had short hair at a time, when she was actually having babies.
Okay.
And then, her hair, that I've seen in photos and stuff was more my length, or it's shoulder length
Okay.
or just below. And she would just wear it down. I've never seen it even pulled up, like in a bun or whatever.
Okay.
But
Okay. I just
yeah,
saw it like this, like framed, it's framed differently. She's saying something about it being just a little bit different, that you wear it differently, but something like that.
she had darker hair than me, like chestnut brown, almost like your hair color.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
she was young, when she passed.
Okay. Did she have complications with her pregnancies?
I know that she had complications with my brother. She had what do they call that? Hemorrhagic
Whoa.
um, stuff, and
Oh,
so she had to stay in the hospital a little bit longer.
okay.
But
Uh,
other pregnancies, I don't know anything about, or if she
yeah.
lost any babies, I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, it didn't make me feel a miscarriage. It just made me feel like complications with pregnancy and then um and I don't know if this led to her passing. I don't believe it did, but she's showing me like severe postpartum with stuff too. And that's back when they didn't have really talk about postpartum much.
Yeah, I don't know anything about her with postpartum and
Okay.
nothing that I'm aware of either.
Okay. Mom feels very much of a subtle energy too. She's not much of she definitely holds down the conversations and the things like that when she feels like the two of them together, and you might have these memories or you might not. She still feels like a subtle energy too. Like she is not like overpowering like kind of energy, or like that big energy coming in the room and like
Right.
announcing her presence. No, she's just happy to be there, and just, she'll conversate and talk to anybody, and kind of float around a party and socialize. But she's not coming in, I don't know why I want to say guns a-blazing, but
That definitely was not her personality, not that
no,
I'm aware of.
no. So
If
again,
I'm anything like her, um, you know, that certainly was not her personality because
but
I'm
she
not that either.
she seems very sweet, and she's very honest. Like she's honest as the day is long. Like she will not tell a lie.
Mhm.
She is so authentically her, right?
Mhm.
Uh she'll even sometimes, and I don't know if she never would hurt a fly. Like she's like, I'm not, you know, but she almost feels like sometimes she would say things and it might sound hurtful to somebody, even though she's being so honest. Like it's like that almost to a fault.
That's me. You're describing me. I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to hurt you, but it's true. And I don't even like to kill a fly. I like to capture them
Yes.
and throw them
Okay.
outside.
Okay. So we got all these traits from mom, I think,
Mm,
because mom is very much showing me how much you are like her.
mm,
Um, and she knows that you you like she's around, and you know that she's there to support you, but it's like she's so sorry that you had to grow up without your mom.
mm.
And she's like, but I've never left you. I've been with you this entire time because you've got married. Well, you got married, and she's letting me know all the milestones that she's been there for you. Graduating. How, I'm trying to figure out. Hold on, let me get it from her. Were you like 11 when she passed?
7.
7.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, because she's making me feel like you do have memories of her, but it was just you were so young to, you're just a kid. Just a kid. Just, playing outside, riding bikes, doing things, you know. They knew of her, you knew of her passing before she was passing, so either she got sick. It wasn't like a fast, sudden car
No, it was
accident.
fast, very fast.
Hmm, okay. Okay, sorry. That's what they were showing. Because they were showing me them sitting you down and talking to you. So I thought this, I apologize. They showed me the sit down talk, and I thought it was before talking about, this is what's going to happen. That's not the case. Like I told you, they don't always talk to me about how they pass. If it's not for your highest good, I ask that we don't even talk about it because it doesn't, you know, if you need to talk about it, then we'll talk about it. But otherwise, I ask them to do whatever they need to do. But they're showing me to sit down with your siblings of discussing of when mom passed and how that happened. And I think at the time that you got that message, she's showing me that you didn't understand what that fully meant. Like it almost was like you understood it, you understood the gravitational pull of what that meant, but you didn't really get the full concept. You were too little. So she's making me feel like she's she's so sorry in the fact of how she left so tragically in this world of, if she could do it over again or take it away, she would have, because she just feels so awful that she just wasn't there for you as mom. Like she wanted to be there for you and be physically there. Like, but she's making me know, and of course that she is physically there. Does
It's
this
not the
make
same.
sense that she's she's taking responsibility of that she took place of somebody else? she's making me feel like, and I've never felt this before with spirit, is that whatever this is, I don't know if it was a car accident or what it was, but she's making me feel like she chose her life over somebody else's to be that could have happened to.
I don't know anything about that,
Okay.
if that were true at all.
Okay.
She was in a vehicle accident and she was hit by a drunk driver
Okay.
um, at like 11 o'clock in the morning. So
All right.
um, supposedly she was over at a friend's house sewing pajamas for us
Yeah.
for Christmas because it was, November. And she had dropped us off at school and then was going to go back home, probably to pick up my little brother from like kindergarten. And she was hit
Okay.
in her car. And then that lady crossed, the center line and hit her. So, yeah, on my little brother's birthday.
Okay. She's making me feel like it was almost that something else could have happened that day where I've never seen this. Like I said, I'm not sure how to interpret it. It's almost like a different timeline. Like one thing could have happened where maybe you or one of your siblings could have been hurt or tragically killed.
Mm.
And then, but she's taking it as like, no, like I would never let that happen to my kids, and I would have to go out of this earth before anything happens to my children. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So, I'll give you a little bit of background. So, my mom and dad were divorcing,
Okay.
and my dad was in Florida. We were in Michigan. My mom had found a boyfriend, if you will, that we were staying with at his home at the bar.
Okay.
And so we had moved in with him. It was my little brother's birthday when she passed, but my little brother used to wet the bed, and that man that we were living with used to literally whip him every time that he would wet the bed. And he would use needles in his, he would poke his fingers or whatever. I don't know if he was thinking acupuncture. I don't know what his problem was,
Yeah.
but he used to just squall and scream, and that was a wake up call in the mornings, just like back in the body and ready to go for the day. So what you're saying and how I can relate to that is as mean as he was to my brother,
Hmm.
he didn't do those things to myself or my older brother, but he did have a farm and he expected us out there working on his farm before we went to school, which is a lot for kids who've never had that.
Hmm.
And I think she didn't feel like she had another solution for the problem. And so it was an exit point for her, is how I view and tie that into what you're saying.
It was almost as if like you something could have happened to the kids. So, and it was her agreement of like, I can't see anything happening to my children.
Yeah.
And I would take my own life before. And not that when we're in this life, we don't understand that. And when things like that come, but this is my belief. And on the other side, before we come to here to Earth, we already have our whole timeline laid out.
Mhm. I believe that too.
And I feel like this was something that she discussed with her guides and said, I could not let my child pass before me. There's no way I could have lived.
Yeah, that
And
man
so I
was
see
really
as her
something else to my
agreement
brother.
of her giving life to somebody while her life is tragically cut short.
Hmm.
What a
Yeah, and it
beautiful,
changed everything. I mean, from that point forward, that man was no longer in our lives. You know, it was a blessing in disguise, if you will,
yeah,
that
a blessing and
we
a
weren't
curse at
having.
the same time. Like your
Mhm.
mom is now passed, but I swear, this is what she's showing me is that she took that sacrifice to give you a better life. And that sounds crazy for a mom to be able to leave. And I'm sorry that I'm getting upset, but it's just like it's so, I think about me with my kids. If I was to choose to help my kids in any way, I would I would do anything for them and we would lay down our own lives.
Hmm.
So I get
Hmm.
that she was saying like I take full ownership and I want to help my children.
Hmm. It
So
hasn't been easy, this life has not been easy.
no. Um and she wants she wants you to understand that it is it is not about it. I mean, yes, where we've come from and what we've had to us has molded us into who we are. We have our own power to take that and shift it into something good and something positive and something beautiful.
I agree.
Now, I know that you don't have kids, but she's showing me something special that you work with children. Are you a teacher or are you like something with children?
Nope. Nope. I babysat when I was young, you know, 40 plus years ago.
Do you work for the school district or have something affiliated with it, like an office for the? Okay.
Nope.
All right. I just see. Now, I guess this could not be children, but I could have sworn it was children, that you're helping people in a different way. That like you have this, I believe this is your career, that you like I don't know if it's some kind of therapy or something that you offer to people that you do. Is this a side thing or are you thinking of doing it?
So I was an engineer for AT&T for 19 years, worked
Okay.
for them um, for like almost 20 years. And I was laid off, not laid off, surplused, where I got a surplus package in March of 23.
Okay.
And, it's been temporary positions, trying to find something that's a permanent full time. So money has been non-existent and not easy to come by.
Okay.
But we're making it, by the grace of God.
Yeah.
Um, I've never worked in a school district. I do have what's called a biocharger machine, and I do have what's called Spooky 2, which is also alternative healing type stuff that I have purchased, because I was dealing with migraines for many years. So
Okay.
trying to figure out, get to the bottom of, um, I've heard spirit, many times. And one of the things that I've heard them say to me is, are you ready to work on the body? So I know I'm in the body classroom, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and still working on the body. I have offered it on the side and actually tried to create a business out of it,
Okay.
which never really took off, if you will. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure how to make it take off because I do think that there's benefit to it.
Yep.
It's just getting the word out
Okay.
um, and, pulling people in for it.
Of course. Have you called around to local? I don't know if this therapy is like of a spa type therapy that it'd be, or like an allied health affiliate that you can work with. Because I feel like it's something that you can get your foot in the door with somewhere. Um, this is either an acupuncturist or like a allied doctor that I'm seeing that you can kind of get your foot in the door. So this is somebody local, this is convenient to you, that you're going to be able to travel and you're going to be able to have a rental space or, you can kind of use their clientele off the base too. Like you don't have to come in with much and they're totally open to the fact, but you will have to pay a monthly rental. This will be like a little rental space for you. Or maybe they're going to give you an offer and you can negotiate just by clientele. Like, I'll pay you per client in the beginning until I can get my feet rolling and give you a monthly, rent. And I feel like this person is very open to talking about and helping you like move on to your way.
Hmm.
So this is just where you need to do a couple cold calls and get your feet in the door of getting this momentum moving, because that's where I saw you as a therapist. They showed me something with therapy with you. So that way you can help people in their own healing and moving into, whatever this is of their own healing, because you've
Hmm.
had to process so much of your own healing and do everything yourself. And you've gotten to that good place and you want to help people, and they're going to understand and know your story,
Hmm.
and your story is just going to help other people, pretty much is what we're
Hmm.
coming down to. Okay. So they're going to really, you're going to be very open and raw like you are today. And that is so humbling to people of having similar past issues and same things like that. And that is going to help them shift, and that is going to gravitate and pull more people to you. Okay. So I want you to take this reading for the fact of all the beautiful messages that you got today from your loved ones. They're cheering you on. They are your like they love you so unconditionally. They know how hard you've worked and how far you have come. And they think that you're going to do great things. I see you helping these people. That's weird. Have you worked with horses before? Have you seen those horse therapy things?
So I actually have a course right here that is animal communication, but I haven't finished it yet. Yeah.
That was their last little drop the mic. They wanted to bring that in and be like, "Oh, by the way, maybe you should do this." Like,
I've
okay.
never heard, well, I can't say never. Um, we had a dog. We didn't have a name for her. And we were both looking online, going, okay, Google, show us names. And I was leaning up against the bed, taking off my pajama bottoms to be descript. And my husband was in the shower, and I heard her say, La Bella. She sounded like an angel. And I said, I got a name. I got a name. And I told him, and she came running. She was just, little 4 inches long, long hair chihuahua that we had. And yeah, that was her name, Labella. And the dog before her, we had moved into this house in 2014, 2015, because it was the end of December, beginning of January. And we were walking out the front door, and Spirit had told me to name her BB. And she and I walked out the front door, and she said, I won't be going on you with this next trip in this next chapter. And I was like, what does that mean? Nothing else was said. And within just a couple of weeks, she was gone. So I do know that there's some sort of a animal connection for me, or just my animals. I'm not sure. I've never heard another dog talk, or cat, or anything else. But I would like to open that skill and ability up. Obviously, you now know that I hear spirits sometimes.
Definitely.
I get sensing, clairvoyance kind of stuff, clairaudience, and I have smelt things before, clairgustance. So just sometimes a knowing, of things
Hmm.
that I wouldn't otherwise know. I get a lot of prophetic type dreams. So yeah, anyways, working on the whole animal communication course.
And animals that is such a special gift that you have, because they speak in such a subtle tone and vibration.
Vibration.
So for
Hmm.
you to hear them authentically, I can connect with the animal spirit, but with my own animals, I can kind of understand and sense some things, but I've never really heard them communicate
Oh
with me.
yeah.
So that is really a special gift that you can start playing around with. And it might be too that you need to get in the right headspace, and it might be just more writing and getting that and just getting a sense and the feeling, like exactly like what you're saying. That's exactly how I communicate with spirit, is that it's just that quick, like they'll give me that quick image, and then I've got to kind of interpret it quickly and get that all knowing.
Hmm.
So that's how it works. So if you just start playing with it and having fun with it, if it's something that excites you, makes you excited, that is what you're meant to be doing. That is where your
It's
guides are
all
telling
spirit
you.
for me. It's all spirit.
So we're going to wrap up the reading here.
Okay.
So thank you so much for sitting with me
Thank
today.
you. I did not have any expectations of today's reading. You know, I felt like it was slow to start, but then when you got into the groove, I really felt like you were tapping into my mom, especially. Biggest takeaway is I really think that Jolene is into something. When she gets into that groove, she's really in it. So that I appreciate.